Following the release of the World Trade Organization report into Saudi piracy on Tuesday, reports soon emerged of another bidder waiting in the wings. So who exactly is behind this bid, and would they be any better than Mike Ashley? Let's begin by addressing the question of whether this means the Saudi takeover is in danger of collapsing. It's fair to say that there are issues, and there have been issues, with the Saudi bid, but as I mentioned in my previous video, which you can watch here, the World Trade Organization report wasn't nearly as damaging as we all feared it might be. Just before we get any further, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, please consider subscribing and like this video too. So yes, the Premier League probably still have some things to iron out. But the fact is, if anything, since Tuesday, the chances of the deal being completed has increased. This has been reinforced once again today by the Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, saying publicly that he believes we should welcome foreign investment into the sport. A clear sign that this government, who have a good relations with Saudi Arabia, is in no mood to throw a spanner in the works of the takeover. But let's say the Saudi PIF deal did collapse for some reason, and this second mysterious bid from America happens. Would it automatically mean better things for Newcastle? I mean, we know Ashley is a terrible owner, but is there a chance we could end up with somebody even worse? The supposed offer to buy the club comes from an American businessman called Henry Morris. Morris is the chairman and chief executive of a media company called Clear TV. Now, yesterday, when news of this alleged bid was reported, it's fair to say it was met with a large dose of cynicism by the Newcastle fanbase. This prompted Telegraph journalist Luke Edwards to tweet this. The insinuation of Edwards' tweet is that Newcastle fans just want the richest owner, and whilst there may be some truth in that, when you look at the bigger picture, being wealthy is important, but it's not the biggest factor in being a good owner. I know from my point of view, the wealth of Saudi Arabia coming into Newcastle United is incredibly exciting. Seeing my club potentially turn into a world force of football with money spent at every level of the club is very, very exciting. And it'd be a lie to say that this isn't a factor. However, what I'd say is, I believe I'm level-headed enough to know that there could be other amazing owners out there who have a fraction of the money that the Saudi PIF would bring. Let's look at this table to see that wealth isn't everything. As you can see, Mike Ashley sits very much like his club in the middle of the table in terms of wealth. And yet it's widely accepted by most people in football that he is the worst Premier League owner. To highlight the point further, directly below him in terms of wealth sits Liverpool's owners, John W. Henry and Thomas C. Werner. And yet they've been able to transform Liverpool into a true European powerhouse, something that they weren't doing before the Fenway Group took over, or at least not since the 1980s. So I don't believe the alleged wealth of this Morris guy is the main problem here. It's the fact that it seems like a very mysterious bid at a very odd time. Firstly, why did the announcement come so soon after the WTO report, which wasn't as terrible as everyone believed? Why have they bid £50 million more? I understand it could be the way the deal is structured, but to be so public about the bid price seems very odd to me. And also, what credentials has this guy got that would suggest he'd be able to run a Premier League football club? Hard to know when we know practically nothing about him. I think all of these questions are good reasons for any Newcastle fan to be sceptical. Some people are even suggesting that this bid could in some way be orchestrated by an ever-desperate Qatar. I don't have the answer to that. And of course, it's unlikely we'll ever really know. But the timing is particularly odd. You can make your own mind up in regards to conspiracies. But in answer to the initial question of the video, would any new owner be better than Mike Ashley? The simple answer in my mind is clear. No. As much as we all hate Ashley, as much as he's done terrible things at the club, treated legends with contempt, changed the name of the stadium, appointed puppet managers, seen us relegated twice, and 1,000 other terrible things that he's done, the fact of the matter is this: there is no such thing as a sure thing, and getting an owner that does more damage than Ashley is not impossible. If you remember, when Ashley bought the club in 2007, for the first year or so we believed that he was the saviour of the club. We all thought he'd transform the club and make us a European force, but that quite quickly unravelled, and we've had over a decade of misery since. So in response to Luke Edwards, the reason Newcastle fans are quick to dismiss this American bid is because if it looks dodgy and it feels dodgy, then it probably is. Gut feeling is a good thing to have in these scenarios, and I think that a fan base that's been through as much and is as full of scepticism as Newcastle's is quite rightly being cautious about this strange bid that's appeared. So yes, the lack of money in comparison to the Saudi PIF is a factor. It'd be silly to pretend that it wasn't, but there are plenty of other red flags here that have got people concerned. Hopefully the Premier League will be able to put us out of our misery soon and we can swap one bad owner for a new, better one. In my opinion, based on what I know so far, I don't think Henry Morris would be a better owner of Newcastle United. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button, and I will see you really soon for another video.